All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Zone Zero. Today's guest is Flynn Flores, a former mechanic turned to a full time investor. And he became work optional in 2022. And now teaching people as well how to work into trading and giving a lot of information. This is going to be a very exciting episode to be with. Flynn, thank you very much for
Thank
coming
you.
here, brother.
Been a pleasure.
Appreciate that. I
Thanks
know
so
you
much.
have a busy schedule, and I appreciate you coming here in the short notice.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
I would start with tell us about your story. What is your Zone Zero?
All right. So my name is Flynn Flores. I came here to Canada when I was 12 with my family, two sisters, parents. Basically, I did what everybody else did. Go to school, get a job. I actually did a lot of random jobs, and then I ended up, liking cars. So I started with that, and then I got into. I became a lot attendant as a kid. In a dealership, and then I saw some other people that are like, hey, you know what? They're making good money as a mechanic, so I'm gonna start doing that. So I went with that. About 10 years, I was a registered mechanic for 10 years, and then decided that like I don't want to do that anymore. Like I realized that wasn't what I wanted to do in my life. I wanted something else, and then yeah. So basically so I wanted more for my life, and then me and my wife started investing, and then that kind of worked out for us. And then around like at the age of 33, I decided to quit my job, and then now I travel with my wife and my two kids around the world. So
That's amazing.
yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about you going to the mechanic area.
Yeah.
So you said you liked it in the beginning. Was it just like it's paying more in the market, or like something you're passionate about and you tried it, then things turns out like you don't like it?
Yeah. I think it was all like I hung up with friends that are like really into cars, and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's kind of cool too. So, and then one of my buddy, he worked at a car dealership, so I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna get a job there too. And then that kind of like got the idea of me going to mechanic. It kind of just fell on my lap. It wasn't like something that I really wanted to do, but it was like something that I needed, and to pay my bills and all that stuff. And I knew it was making good money at that time, so I'm like, you know what, I'll go for it.
And what was the click that you say, okay, this is not for me anymore? Like, what was the thing? Was it like something happened and just like a click in your mind, or you were just thinking about it from a long time?
It was like, it wasn't just one time. It was more like a compounding of a lot of little things. I would say, like, dealing with people, like dealing with coworkers, dealing with managers. I've always been like a person who wants to grow, and I realized with being a mechanic, you only get to stay, or it's like a dead end job. And then the only way you can move up is become like you go into management, right? And then for me, I couldn't do that. Like I have no management skills. Like I don't like dealing with people. So that's why we turned to, we started businesses, and then, some worked, some failed. And then really investing was like the thing that I really enjoy, because I don't have to deal with people. And yeah.
Oh, great. I kind of agree with you in the part of especially working in a company, and then the only way to go up is being a manager.
Yes.
And kind of you don't have that much of like opportunities to become a manager either way, even if you wanted it, because there is a manager already.
Yes.
What is the chances this manager gonna quit, or just gonna move, or you're gonna be replaced, right? Unless somebody kick him out, and that's kind of hard to happen, right? But why specifically you went for investments? I know, like, my brother told me you're a close friend of my brother, and he tells me a lot about you. And he told me you tried a lot of things, same as like the FBA and some other stuff.
Right. So there's this book that kind of this idea. This is actually a good question. There's this idea of me like reading a book, because I love learning. So there's one day, like, I went to a library, local library, and I found this book called Cash Flow Quadrant. Have you heard of that book?
No.
No. So basically, this book changed my whole life. And it talks about basically like the way there's 4 types of cash flow, right? So one cash flow is employee. So you basically have a job. You trade your time for money. The second one is you're self-employed. You own a job. Like, let's say I'm a videographer, photographer, right? And the third one is a business. So you own a system. You hire people to work for you. And the last one is the last one is my favorite one, is investor. So you make the money work for you. And that's when I kind of got the idea of me investing in the first place. I'm like, how do I find that? I need to find an asset that's going to pay me money using my own money. And that's kind of like how you want to leverage your time. So basically, yeah, that was the first idea that I got to my brain, and I'm like, okay, I want to be an investor.
Okay. And like, how hard is it to anybody to go into the investments part? Is it like anybody can go in, or is some like it has to be enthusiast enough to just go in and learn about it?
There are a lot of ways to get into investing. Actually, the first investment that I did was real estate. Me and my wife were actually like, you know what? Instead of spending a lot of money on marriage or on our wedding, let's invest that somewhere else. Why don't we put that in real estate? Because at that time, it was the only investment that I know of. Because I grew up with my parents, and then I see a lot of friends, they're buying homes, and it's like, you know what? Maybe rental property is the way to go.
Mm-hmm.
So we did that. We worked really hard to get our first down payment, and then quickly realized that, man, that was it needs a lot of money. Like, you need to have a lot of capital. We borrowed from my wife's mom, and then so we ended up achieving a rental property. But then at the same time, like you said, like I said, there's a lot of different ways to get into investing. Like, if you invest in the stock market, you can literally start at $100, and then you go from there. But real estate, you need a bigger capital, right?
True.
So for the stock investing, or investing in the stock market, you can, like I said, you can start at $100.
Yeah, but like also in the stock market, there is like plenty ways to invest as well, right?
Yes.
It's either the methods you do, or the method and the style you go in. People do it day trading, and people do it long term trading, which is like actually buy the assets and then work on it. Which one you are in exactly?
So I'm into cash flow investing.
Mm-hmm.
I want to tell you a little bit of story about how I got into stock investing, because I saw a YouTube channel, or I saw a YouTube video where this guy was showing his portfolio stocks. I'm like, oh, that sounds pretty easy. Right, so that's when we started kind of copying what he did. So my first stock investment was a BMO. You know BMO, right? BMO.to, like the Bank of Montreal, all the banks, CIBC, all the just the stocks. So basically, those what I call them growth stocks. So basically, you invest in them, and then you hope in the future that they will grow, and also pay a little bit of dividends. So with my strategy, it's called cash flow investing. So my funds are basically, you invest in a company that does covered calls. What they do is they give you income. They may cap your upside from your capital, but then they give you consistent income, and that's what I want for my investing, and not hopes for growth in the future. And I want some income now, and that's why it's called cash flow investing.
Okay, and what is the percentages we're talking to have it?
Okay, so in the average, we're talking about like 10 to 15% per year.
Okay.
Per year, yeah.
And that's like you need to invest like a couple thousands in to have a consistent, good enough money to basically you could live with it, right?
Yeah. So like I'm gonna be personal here. Like, I have 700 something thousand invested in there, and then it produces $8,000 per month.
Okay. And the way you started, were you like doing day trading just to like slowly have the enough cash to put it in there, or like what is the method you use?
What was the method that I used to build capital?
Yes.
So basically, when we found this strategy, we're like, okay, this is a cool strategy, but is it consistent, right? So we use our my paycheck and my wife's paycheck to kind of build this next egg. So we started with our own money, right? So I think we started with like 1,000, and then it's like, oh, and then 3,000, then 5,000, and we're seeing the growth of it, and then we ended up selling our house. Like we found so much confidence that, and then it was so reliable to us, and yeah, like I said, we sold our house, and then we invested most of it, and then that compound after that became significant. Like, I know people would call us crazy, and but the numbers don't lie. and we put the numbers on the sheet. Before we even sold it, we made sure that these is going to be the numbers, and then yeah, it was pretty accurate to the numbers, and then yeah, that's how we
That's
boosted our
pretty
capital.
bold move to do. Like congratulations in the first place to do that. Not a lot of people willing to do that. Like honestly, I'll give you that.
Yeah, yeah.
But let's just say someone who wants to start with this, like what would be the advice that you give, like where he should start or he or she should start into that?
So like it depends, because there's a lot of people like they think investing is like, oh, you're gonna get rich for sure, but there's a lot of factors into it. Like for me, before I even invest, I'm gonna look at my situation. Like, am I in debt? Like, if I'm in debt, I need to pay off my debt first, because that's gonna slow down my gains. And then once you pay off all your debt, I think you need to have an emergency fund. Let's say 3 to 6 months of your expenses, and then that's when you start investing. Because, like I said, like, not financial advice, but if you do invest, there's a chance that you might lose, right? Especially when you sell at a loss, right?
Mhm.
So, but with our strategy, it's just buy and hold. I buy a share, buy funds, and then build it. As I make money, I put it in there, because the more shares you own, the more shares, the more shares you own, the more income you can get.
Mhm. But like investing ideas, like mostly what has been always marketed to, or like more the financial advisors talk about, is they say don't put the money that you need or use in it for your life to pay your bills, and that just use the money that you use it for savings, or money if it goes is fine for you. But you literally just put everything you have. You just like put all the chips in one block, right? What is the like how is the mental pressure came from that to make this decision, right?
First,
It's a hard decision to make.
so first of all, if someone told me that, like, oh, don't do that, like, I want to see why. Like, why are you advising me to do that? And it's not something I want to like see, because I've seen people do it before too. Um, sorry, what was your question?
So like everyone starts investing with the money they have that they're willing to invest or lose, or like they don't care about, let's just say, like in that way. But you, in that case, you bet on everything you have, and you literally just put like all your chips in one place, and you just bet, and this is the plan that you're going with. This alone, it takes a lot to think, a process to think about, and like a mental, like your mentality has to be strong.
Yeah.
So where did you get this confidence to go?
So-
like, what is the
I think it really comes down to your why. And I think I was in so much pain in like having that job as a mechanic. I really hated it. I'm like, this gotta work. And I actually, if you didn't know me, like before I met my wife, I was actually in debt. I was bad with money. I had a really bad spending habit. And then we kind of learned how to like, because when I met my wife, she was a hoarder. Like, she saved everything. And I was the opposite. I would be the one spending money. I spent a motorcycle on a line of credit, right? And she would be the one just saving money. She didn't spend. So we kind of have to like meet in the middle and learn how to multiply our money. So with that, sorry, I forgot where I was going with that one.
No problem at all. So
Sorry.
like it just like by you were talking about, you get the wisdom, right? You get the wisdom from your wife.
Yeah. I got it now. So the reason was why.
Mhm.
Like, I really wanted to work. So like I said, I was really bad with money, and I had to change that. I had to change who I was to achieve that freedom. So I really literally I worked every day for like 2 to 3 years. Work every like penny. We tracked all our numbers and put it in the investment, because we want this to work. Otherwise, I would have to wait another 10 to 20 years
Mhm.
to do that.
And what was the thoughts of your surroundings, friends, family? You're just like going so hard on this. What was their like aside and ideas?
Yeah, like people thought we were crazy, and especially when we told them about we're gonna sell a house and invest it, and I actually stopped hanging out with a lot of my friends, because they still spend a lot of their money like going out. They would go, parties and stuff like that. It's just who I wasn't. It wasn't me anymore. It wasn't who I am, and I wanted to be someone else. So I had to do like the habits that I needed to change to become who I was, to become who I am today, right? And it was tough because like I value my friends, but then at the same time, like we weren't aligned with our values anymore. Which is kind of sad, but I think, but now like now that I'm here, like I'm meeting new other friends, right? But it was hard, especially our family, because I grew up with people with my family that didn't know anything about money. We never talk about money or just looking into the future. They just told me to get a job, so it was really hard. But now that we kind of showed them the results, but now they're on board, right?
Of course.
Yeah. And then we're actually teaching them how to invest. Like I'm teaching my dad, my sisters, and my wife's family. They're all on board.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if we put it in a way, what was harder, working as a mechanic or building a cash flow?
Um, it wasn't. I wouldn't say it wasn't hard. Like for me, it was. Yeah, it was hard to work at that place because I didn't enjoy it.
Mhm.
But building the cash flow was. I guess it was easy because I knew where I wanted to be. I knew where I wanted to go, and it was fun for me. Like looking at the numbers growing and seeing our income, because we did a lot, we do a lot of Google Sheet charts, and then you can see over time, you can see our income growing and growing. I was like, man, this is fun. And at that time, I remember I wanted to buy a Forerunner because like that was my dream. Like I don't even want that anymore. I want to grow this asset. I want to keep it growing because I can see the numbers going up and down, up and up. I'm like, that's kind of motivates me, seeing the numbers and it's getting real. So
That's amazing. You know, I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad.
okay, yeah,
And the
one
first
of my
time,
favorite book. Yeah,
after finishing this book, I immediately sold my car because the first time I read it, it
liability.
talked about liability and talking about building an asset. The first thing that was like, I was like shocking for me. Like what I do right now, I just like, okay, having the salary, having that, having fun, getting a car. And then once I read this book, it just was like a game changer for me. Immediately, me and my brother went right away, sold the car. He sold it first, I sold it after him. So yeah, like knowing about money, it's something like beautiful. But you know, when I hear the story, you're saying like you sold the house and put it into the stocks. If like um like the audience watch and hear about this, it might comes towards a way where like you like somebody who's desperate and like this is the last chance I have, so I'm gonna put everything here. Was it like this, or like was it kind of like I know what I'm doing and I'm sure I'm gonna
Yes.
pull it off?
So I gotta thank my wife for this because she's the numbers girl. Like I'm more of like the mindset,
Hmm.
but she is the numbers girl. So she likes doing all the numbers, putting on the track sheet, the Google Sheets, and we look at the numbers before we even think about selling the house. We look at the numbers first. We want to make sure this is consistent, reliable, and will it work for us? And then once we get that confidence, all right, we gotta get rid of our house because for us, house is like really important at that time because we were we grew up thinking like you gotta buy a house, you gotta get a job, you gotta buy a house, you have to buy a house. It's part of life. But we're like, no, we gotta change that up, especially here now in Vancouver. It's different.
Mhm.
Like for us, like we don't mind renting because when we owned a house, a townhouse, we were paying for mortgage, and to me, like if you're talking about asset or liabilities, to me it wasn't an asset because it was taking money out of my pocket. So we turned that house into an asset that now that's kind of making us money.
Okay.
Basically. So we just converted it. Yes, it's a good house, but like we can always rent.
Mhm.
Like I actually prefer renting.
So, like saying this, what's your thoughts about real estate in general? Do you think it's not an asset to build on, or do you still think it's an asset?
It depends. It depends really. So like what we have to go back to your definition of an asset and liability, right? So you said you read Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Where's that for that?
So an asset basically means that when you buy an asset, it puts money in your pocket.
Sure.
Right. So let's say, and then a liability takes away money out of your pocket.
Mhm.
So let's say a stock, you buy a stock, an Apple stock for $10. To say it goes up to $20, right? That's an asset,
Mhm.
right? Because you made your profit. But when it goes down to $5, let's say, well, that's a liability because it's lost you money. So
Mhm.
it's the same thing with real estate. I know some people in the real estate have lost money because they sold it too early during the bear market, right? So like for us, it was good timing that we sold it. So it was we sold it at and then we turned them into an asset.
But it's still an asset because it returns your money, and it depends on the market. If we compare it with the stocks, yes, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
But in the market, like, and you see the social media and the news, everybody's promoting for real estate because it's more stable than stocks. It could be right, it could be wrong, depends where you at and what is the economy going and how's the price going. But it's just the idea of like real estate, the prices like typically goes up often going down, right? This is how it works.
Yes.
Unless something crazy happens. Right?
Yes.
Which is what's happening here in Vancouver and in general.
Yeah.
And yeah. So I will continue after, like, let's take a quick break and continue after going with your journey into the investing. I would ask more into the investing, how people to do it.
Sure.
So we'll get back to you guys after the break. All right, we're back. Flynn, thanks again for coming here, brother.
My pleasure.
We talked a lot about investing and the business part of it, but now I just want to get into more personal stuff. Like, what is it like to be financially independent and basically free?
Like for me, it's actually a lot of fun. I was able to buy back my time because before I was when I was a mechanic, I would work 8 to 5 o'clock, right? And that's a lot of time like wasted. And now that I have like so much free time, I was able to do basically whatever. I got to hang out with my kids. Get to have breakfast with them, lunch, dinner, and we get to do a lot of activities. And then we travel. That's why we travel, because we get to explore more. And we were able to do that because we're financially independent.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And tell me about the first day you realize waking up, I don't have to work anymore. Like picture me, like how was this day, right? Because that's pretty much everybody's dream.
Right. It's funny because like before this all happened, I was already dreaming this. Like we actually wrote it down, like what our ideal day on a piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
And when that happened, it's like, oh, yeah, it's amazing. And I remember actually we were just swimming with my kids, my wife and her sister. We're just like, man, this is so cool. We're at a swimming pool right now on a Thursday, just swimming. Like, last 3 years ago, 3 years ago, I would have been at work, stuck doing oil changes or something, right? So it was really cool. Just buying back my time and able to try new things.
And did you plan what is the first day you're gonna do, or there wasn't the first day at all? Like it's just it happened all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's just a gradual because, like I said, like I wrote it down. We wrote down our ideal day. It kind of just happened gradually. So like an example would be, I wake up at 5 o'clock every day, 5 o'clock till like let's say 7:30, and that's when I use my time to do workouts or do some of my work. My work meaning investing. That's like basically my work. Just look at my investments, and I don't even do that as often because of our strategy or cash flow investing. We only reinvest like maybe we spend like 20 minutes maybe per month because it's pretty passive. And then I use that time to either work out and then after that the kids will wake up 8 o'clock. I make the breakfast. We spend like 8 to 12 hanging out, doing activities, and then they go on nap from 1 to 4. And then from there, do night activities, dinner. It's pretty chill. And then that's kind of like my default. But then obviously it will change when there's like events, like people will want to hang out with other people or just events.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And do you low key miss getting back to the mechanic, even if it was for one day, just to get back there? Like, or if there's anything you miss about that place, or it's like, fuck no, I'm just not gonna get there anymore?
No, it's just I don't want to do that anymore.
Okay.
Although like I'm gonna tell you when I did retire, I was actually at a low point for me because I lost my purpose. Like everybody wants to retire early and stuff because that was my main goal. Like for the longest time, that was my main goal. And then when I got there, I was like, yes, was able to quit. I told my manager I'm going to quit. I won't be coming back. It was fun for the next, let's say, couple of months. Then you realize, like, what's next? Like, what is my purpose? And then it came to a point where, like, I got pretty depressed because, like, I don't know what to do with myself. Like, my whole identity has to shift because I was a mechanic for the last 10 years, right? So that's all I knew. And then what am I going to do next? So that's kind of allowed me to, try new things, started doing content creation. And then I did my videography business part-time just for fun. And then, yeah.
So every entrepreneur, when they reach to a certain level, they're reaching their goals, and that going to be a time for building a new goal for them to reach. So what would be the new goal to achieve? You reach the area that you have the financial freedom, you go everywhere, but what is the next step for you?
Good question. So my next step for me and my family is we want to have a home base, because right now we're not able to afford a home base and able to travel 6 months out of the year, because that's what we do right now. So we travel 6 months out of the year, but our next level would be to have a home base. So that's going to cost, rent, internet, and all that stuff. And then able to travel 6 months of the year at the same time. So, and I want to grow my portfolio because, like I said, we're living off the dividends, the income from my portfolio. So if we're using that every month, that portfolio won't grow as much. So we have to find a way to grow that a little bit, keep growing, and then improve our lifestyle.
That's a great goal. Absolutely. So I saw as well you have online courses. You have 5 days courses, helping people to start investing or having like basics, ideas to start, right? But do you have any goals into this to make it a bigger platform, for instance?
So yeah, you're talking about the 5-day cash flow investor challenge.
Yes.
That my wife and I created. We created this because when we started sharing our stuff online, there were a lot of people asking us questions. And then we're like, okay, yeah, we're going to help them. And then it came to a point where like we're spending too much time answering questions. So we're like, okay, why don't we just start a course? And then we started a course because we noticed that when we give for free tips or a little bit of advice on what to do next, they don't really take actions, right? And then when they put money on the line, put their own money on the line, that's when we notice like people are actually taking actions. So my goal for this is just really for fun and just help other people where I was. Because like for me, I would have bought this course, just get me started to this cash flow investing, and then I can learn from there. So it's really a good beginner way to start.
Mm-hmm.
And we put it like a low price so that everybody can have access to it, and then not to be a burden.
Mm-hmm. So basically, you didn't have any financial plans or like working as a business for the future. You do not have.
No, it's just purely for fun.
Okay.
And just give value, and then yeah.
Okay. So you said content creation, right? You and I think you do a podcast as well. You and your wife.
That was before she had a health consultant, but we don't do that anymore.
Okay.
I do content creation because, like I said, I wanna educate people, because these things that I learned were not taught at school. I learned this from a local library, and then if I can share those knowledge to the people, like I've done my job, because that's one of the purposes that I've done it. Because remember I told you earlier, I lost my purpose and I was like so lost. But then I feel like for me, I like helping people. So if I can like inspire 1 or 2 people during my time making content, I would have done my job. And that feels good to me, because at first I wanted to help my family and my close friends, but then I noticed like they're not really taking action. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to help other people, because that gives me fulfillment, and I just love it. I love making an impact.
That's great. So working in the stock area, it's first it's challenging and it's risky too, as you know, right? But let's just say hypothetically, what if all this has been gone? What is your next step? What would you do?
So if everything's gone, I'd go back to zero. I would do the same thing. I would just get a full-time job, work work, but then find an asset that will make money for me. Because if I keep working, trading my time for money, that's not gonna leverage me. It's not gonna get me faster to where I need to be, where I am now. Because you need to find a way to multiply your money, and you got to use that. You got to use leverage, and by doing that, you got to find like an asset. Like I got to find a way to find an asset to maybe buy something and flip it for something else, right? That's what I would do. Go back, work full time, grind. If I had a certain lifestyle, I would change it in a second and go back to grinding.
Okay. And would that be also getting back to the 9 to 5 job just
Yes.
to build the cash
Oh, yeah.
flow, and then slowly getting back to the market?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
Right. Okay.
I would do that.
That's very good. And right now, let's go to the one of the segments I do in the show. I did it first for like last episode with one of my guests, and it's basically agree or disagree. I'm gonna shoot you some statements, and you say agree or disagree.
Do I need to explain anything? No.
We will just mark it now, and then
Okay.
if there's anything needs to be explained,
Sure.
would you like to explain?
Okay.
Of course, no problem.
Sure.
All right, ready?
Yeah.
Let's go. You need money to make money.
100% agree.
Most people stay broke because of fear, not lack of info.
People can fear. Agree.
9 to 5 kills creativity.
9 to 5 kills. Yes, I agree.
Real estate is overrated now.
It depends on what location though. So I'm not gonna agree on that one.
Crypto is still the future.
Yes.
Budgeting is more important than investing.
Yes. Agree.
Courses are mostly scams unless the student is actually ready.
Disagree.
The system is designed to keep people financially dumb.
Agree.
Okay, great. So that was just like a small segment for the
Cool.
agree or disagree. Do you have anything would you like to have more info, like to talk about it, especially the courses that scam unless students actually ready?
I wouldn't say course is a scam. It's just there's a lot of ways to learn, right? It really depends on your goal, right? So if you want to be a doctor, like go for it. Go to school. That's what you need. But if you're going for something else, then yeah, it will be a scam in a way because you're not really using it, right? So I wouldn't look at it as a scam, but I would. It really depends on the person's
Yeah.
Go.
And do you agree with the people nowadays in the markets? They fake it completely just to show that they have the knowledge to invest, and they scam the people after, or you don't disagree, you don't agree with that?
like the courses like
Like, I mean,
online.
there is a lot of people who fake things.
Yes.
Like, okay, I'm an investor. I have a Lamborghini. I have a house. I'm traveling the world, right? Do you agree these guys as well? They are genuinely with giving the information, or they're a scam because they fake it, right? They fake the lifestyle.
There's really, I mean, the only way you'll find out is when you buy it, right? And then, like for me, I've taken a lot of courses online, and I wouldn't call them a scam. It's more like sometimes I didn't learn anything from that course, but which is just a learning for me, right? So I wouldn't necessarily just buy a random course, but I don't know. Answer that actually.
Mhm. But yours background also was from courses, correct? Getting courses to get into the investments, or
No.
books?
No, so I learned that through books. I learned that through I actually went to the local library and learned a lot about money mindset, just using your assets to grow your money. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I watch a lot of YouTube videos. If there's a certain skill that I need to learn, yes, I'll buy a course for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you see books are more valuable than courses, or it just depends on the person?
It depends on the person because you can consume a lot of books and information, but if you're not taking any action, it's pointless.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I see a lot. And like there's a term called analysis paralysis, where people consume a lot of information. I'm guilty of that too. I would just consume a lot of information, and I get super overwhelmed, and then I don't take any action. But if you just take step by step, read something, learn something, and then take action and see your results, and go back to that information, go back to the book.
Okay, amazing, man.
Yeah.
This has been great so far, and I really appreciate you coming here,
Yeah, of
brother.
course.
And there is a lot of information to talk about. Like this, if we'd start talking about it 10 hours, I don't mind
Yeah.
it, because there's a lot to learn from you. So the last question for you: what's one mindset shift you wish every tradesman or 9 to 5 could make today?
I think you gotta learn how to leverage your time. Like, use money as a tool to make money for you. Because if you keep trading your time for money, it's you're always gonna be replacing your time for money. Like, that's gonna be hard to 10x, 20x, but use money to work for you.
Amazing, man. Thank you very much again, brother. Thanks for coming here. It was great.
It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. I'm sure that a lot of people will learn a lot from this. And we're also going to leave your social media content into the description. So people, if they have any questions, they can reach out to you.
Awesome.
I hope this has good information for you guys. And we'll see you the next time. Have a good one.